What just happened? It hurts. Am I dying? I guess so. What is it that you wish for? My wishes. Hardships of a vamp. Who would wish for that? Oliver sat back on his stool, yawning. He wasn't sleepy, but feeling tired has become a routine for him. It was 2 a.m. The place was very quiet. This was usually the slowest time of the night. The workers on night shift either already went home already or were just wrapping up their work. And considering the area this convenience store was in, not many people would step out at this hour, unless they were from an undesirable lot. Oliver had already experienced this undesirable sort of customer several times. Those ones could have thrown any normal person into an early grave. But Oliver wasn't exactly normal. He wondered if it was more a blessing or a curse. If Oliver was normal, he probably wouldn't have stuck at this convenience store every night, surrounded only by the silence. The eerie quietness made him feel like he was the only thing alive in this world. He would be willing to welcome anyone who visited, even undesirable customers. Yo, miss me, beauty? Suddenly a cheerful voice broke him out of his internal musings. The greeting came out even before the door was fully open, and the welcome bell sounded. Oliver immediately recognized who the voice belonged to. In came Leo, a regular customer who visited the store almost every night. Can you give me the usual, please? If the usual you mean the curry bread, it's on the top shelf, 2 rows behind you. Please retrieve it and bring it to the counter. Come on, can you save me one behind here? They usually sell it so quickly. I'm lucky there's only one left. It's against our store's policy. You're no fun, as usual. I still love you though. Oliver blushed at his demeanor. He should have been used to that by now. After all, Leo always threw that word around whenever he visited. Oliver wondered if it was something he'd carelessly say to every store clerk he'd meet. You know you miss me too. Don't think I didn't see your dopey face before I entered the store. Was it that obvious? Well, you have me to save you from boredom here, at least for a little while. Here, you can keep change. I already told you I can't do that. Oliver dutifully took out the change from the register and handed it back to Leo, along with his bread. You're so stubborn. Adding the rules though isn't killing anyone, you know? It's not like those cameras actually work either. I can tell. Oliver had no idea how Leo knew that fact. He was only aware of the deception after some goods in the store was stolen, and requested the camera footage. It turned out those cameras were all dummies, and his pay would be docked for any stolen items. It wasn't a great memory. If I broke a rule once, I would feel alright breaking a second time, then a third. Eventually, all the rules meant to keep things here in order would be violated. I would get in great trouble. That's not a future I want to see myself in. Fair. I guess I like that about you. You're too different from me. It was true. Leo's personality would be considered, Oliver's polar opposite. Oliver still remembered how they first met. It was another night like this, but a bit earlier. It was close to midnight. A tired woman in factory uniform stepped in. She did not stop by any specific aisle. Instead, she went straight for the store clerk and asked him for some takeaway mixed noodles. Then the woman leaned in and whispered to Oliver. There's a strange man sitting in front of the store. I think I saw blood on his clothes. Can you help escort me out? It sounded like another gang member. The criminal activity has become very active near this area. Oliver felt he would not be surprised if someone decided to use the steps to his storefront as a place to loaf around. One unusual stipulation of Oliver's contract was that he was responsible for ensuring the safety of his customers, at least within the vicinity of the store. He reluctantly nodded. After he finished processing the transaction, Oliver led the woman outside as he promised. Indeed, there was a man sitting outside. His figure, while slender, seemed quite muscular. And he was bleeding. A lot. Oliver could already see the blood pooling near the ground he sat on. The mess would be terribly difficult to clean up, and the front step already looked like a crime scene. As Oliver observed the man, his gaze was met with curiosity. While they were having a staring contest, the customer slipped away into the night. Suddenly, the stranger broke their silence. I know I'm pretty, but you don't have to stare that long. Oliver scoffed at him. He was more concerned about the mess this guy was making. Okay, I get it. Sorry for taking up space here, but the store is the only place we have the lights on around these damn blocks. Can you just let me rest here for a moment? Pretty, please? I'll leave right away when my legs no longer feel like a pair of jelly sticks. Get in. Huh? I said get in. I'm not letting you sit there and bleed out in front of our store. That would scare the customers off and I'd get in trouble. Oliver held out his hand, waiting for the stranger to take it. I have a first aid kit in the back room. Let me patch you up. You serious? Oliver kept holding out his hand, refusing to answer. The stranger finally grabbed Oliver's hand and laughed. You're a strange one. How are you still alive till now? I wonder about that too. That was how Oliver would have had answered. Yeah, to be helped out by a cute store clerk like you, this is certainly a first. Can't say I hate it though. The name's Leo. What can I call you? Pretty? Oliver. Shortly afterwards, Leo revealed most of the blood seeping from his clothes weren't his. Oliver couldn't fathom how his clothes could have been this soaked. Oliver was terrified that he was dealing with murderer. Leo acted as if it was nothing. However, he just cheerfully waved goodbye at Oliver after the store clerk patched him up. Ever since then, Leo kept coming back. It was once every week at first, then turned into every 3 days. Somehow, it ended up being every day. Oliver was nervous with interactions at first, but Leo always greeted him cheerfully. He would buy a few products, then engage in some small talk every time he visited. After a while, Oliver became used to his presence. Eventually, he felt grateful for it. Leo helped the clerk get distracted from the dreadful silence, even just for a little while. Didn't matter if Leo might have been a murderer. Leo was a friend, and Oliver believed he could look past that. Nice decorations you got here. It's already the time of the year, huh? Yeah, Halloween. Even though no sane person will go trick-or-treating around these parts of town. Would you like to support us and buy some eyeball candies? They are the ultra-realistic edition. Perfect to distract any potential attackers. Wow, whose marketing pitch was that? Sounds fitting. I'm glad you think it might work. For some reason, our boss thought these candies would be a hit in our store. Yeah, I would buy a bag if you hand feed them to me. Sorry, that request is borderline harassment. Figured you'd say that. How's your day going? Nothing much. It's just work. Oh, I appreciate seeing your cute face every day. You should get some days off and go out with me sometime. It can be more fun than being holed up here every night. I appreciate the invitation, but my rent won't pay itself. Plus, Oliver was skeptical about what Leo considered fun, considering his profession. While he wouldn't mind what Leo was doing to live, he would rather stay out of trouble. You work too hard. I understand that you don't have much of a choice given your condition, but maybe you could accept my help once in a while? You sure don't want me to track down that hit-and-run butthole? It's been a while since we last talked, but I'm sure I can leverage my connections. Don't trouble yourself like that. It's not like my condition can be miraculously cured if you find them. But I appreciate the thought. Oliver told Leo that he couldn't get any day job after having been struck by a car some time ago. The collision damaged some part of his frontal cortex, causing him to experience terrible headaches when exposed to sunlight. This was the closest to the truth he could tell Leo. Well, gotta get going. Guess the boss is getting impatient waiting for me. Leo finished his curry bread and threw the packaging into the trash. You should be careful. This area is getting dangerous now that Halloween is drawing near. You never know if someone in costume would stab you with a knife. One day you thought it was just a prop. Heh. I have lived here for 3 years. I know how to avoid trouble. And during those 3 years, this convenience store was attacked 5 times, 3 of which during your usual shift hours. Hey, don't look at me like that. I know these kind of things. It's a miracle you're still alive. A miracle indeed. Oliver stubbornly kept his mouth shut. He refused to continue their discussion. Acknowledging the cue, Leo shook his head and turned away. I need to go now, but be sure to call or text me if you need any help. Yeah, don't do anything reckless. Yeah, I get it, but you should probably take your own advice as well, considering how often you turn up here, all roughed up. Yeah, I'm glad you care. You know you love me. Not this again. I'm off. See ya. As Leo leaves the store, everything falls into silence again. Oliver wouldn't say it, but he felt a bit down every time Leo left. He was fun to talk to, and Oliver really enjoyed his frequent visits. In the silence, it was hard to not let his mind wander back to the sorry state he was in. "Welcome!" Oliver broke out from his thoughts just to see another customer enter the store. It was a kid that Oliver recognized. He had visited the store quite a few times, sometimes even with a few young friends. Oliver remembered that the other kids called him John. Because Oliver's shift were always during ungodly hours, he could remember almost every regular who swung by. The kid left a particular impression. He was one of the younger folks who kept going out at night. Oliver wondered if he had a curfew away from his family. And perhaps he was just too sensitive, but Oliver felt like this kid always sneaked glances at him. Or just stared openly, like now. "How can I help you?" John walked to the counter, picked up a packet of gum, and handed a few coins to Oliver. Eyes still fixated on him. Oliver rang up the gum packet and handed it back to John awkwardly. "Thank you for your patronage." John nodded and left the store. You know, it'll be really funny if he didn't leave the store, or like if he's just like standing right outside the store, just like staring at us. What a strange kid. Oliver's shift passed uneventfully after that. Just a few more patrons made their visit, picked up a few snacks, and left just as quickly. Most people wouldn't want to hang out around this part of town if the sun down any longer than they could afford to. 4:30 a.m. It was getting close to the end of his shift. Oliver knew the inventory truck would arrive soon. Just as expected, he could hear the sound of an engine approaching the store. The rumbling stopped at the doorstep. As Oliver opened the door and greeted the driver, he could see someone at the back of the truck, already unloading the boxes of goods. "Elias, you're early today." No, it's you! It's you, you freak! Oh my god, you were such a freak to your cat! Yo, no! A handsome white-haired man fully stepped out from behind the truck. He carried a big box in his arms. "Hello, Oliver. I hope you had a pleasant night at work." "It's alright. You don't need to do this. Your shift isn't until another half an hour." "Well, I'm already here, and I consider this a great morning exercise. I can't really just stand here and watch you carry all these boxes with that little body of yours. It wasn't my fault if my body only developed this far. Plus, I can lift these just fine." Oliver picked a box up to prove his point. Surely it's the lack of nutrition. You don't look like you eat nearly enough." Oliver doubted that any more nutrition would improve his build now, but he was not going to tell Elias that. Elias was a friendly co-worker who always lent a hand to Oliver at work. He started working here nearly the same time as Oliver. He was one of the workers who stayed on the job the longest, next to Oliver. Convenience store jobs in this area had the highest turnover rate for obvious reasons. While Oliver had his own reason to be stuck at this job, he was quite curious about Elias. The young man seemed to be very much different from him as well. Elias was just so perfect. His hair, his face, dressing style, mannerisms, and confident posture clearly demonstrated that he was raised with a privileged upbringing. He always showed up looking impeccable and was very competent at his job. He looked like someone who should be showing up to luxurious parties with the upper class, not a lowly convenience store in the dangerous parts of town. Oliver didn't pry because he had his own secrets, but the other co-worker also became curious. They ended up asking the worker. "It's just to get life experience," Elias had said. Oliver did not really buy it. Then again, it was none of his business. At long last, they managed to load all the boxes inside and restock all their shelves. Now, that was a good exercise. Oliver felt sure it was, considering Elias had carried at least 3/4 of the boxes. "Thank you. You don't need to help me every night. Oh, it's me. Thank you. You don't need to help me every night, though. I wanted to help you. I always worry your little body would get buried underneath the mountains of boxes one day. I'm not that small, but thank you." Oliver was quite self-conscious around Elias. Perhaps it was just him being conceited, but he felt that Elias was extra nice around him. Their presentation were as different as night and day. Elias always went out of his way to help him. Being too close to someone so perfect always made Oliver want to squirm. Oliver wondered if Elias helped him out of pity, considering most of the co-workers knew about his brain damage condition. Deep down, Oliver enjoyed the attention. Oliver. F to Oliver. Whoa! Oliver stumbled back, surprised by the closeness. I apologize. I tried to get your attention, but it seems you dozed off to dreamland again. Yeah, it's fine. What is it? Since it's almost your time to leave, about getting something to eat. Maybe you can finally bulk up your frame with some food in you. Saying this, Elias handed Oliver a translucent plastic packet. I bought these on my way here for breakfast. Decided to get an extra one for you. They're good. Just fresh out of the oven in the early morning. Oliver stared at the plastic packet. It was a loaf of bread. Garlic bread. Garlic bread. The bread was golden brown with the yellow color of butter and specks of garlic, and it was still warm in his hand. Oliver could imagine how good it would taste. The first time he had eaten garlic bread was at an orphanage, when a volunteer gave him half a leftover loaf. The bread was already somewhat cold and hot, but it was still one of the best foods he had ever tasted. After Oliver had left the orphanage, one of his dreams was to try out all the nice foods he had missed out on his childhood. His yearning returned when he got a first job. That small dream, however, was short-lived because of his cursed body. Thank you, Elias, but I'm allergic to garlic. Also, you shouldn't eat garlic before your shift. Your mouth might smell of it when you serve customers. Handing the loaf of bread back to Elias, Oliver quickly regretted his petty comments. Elias looked a bit taken aback. Thankfully, the young man didn't seem to be offended, and he just smiled back at Oliver apologetically. Sorry, it was short-sighted of me. I'll definitely avoid garlic before work next time. No, you didn't. I was allergic, and you don't need to spend your money on me. Don't worry, these loaves were inexpensive today, and I noticed how your eyes seem to light up whenever someone brings some nice food to work. Was I that obvious? It would be embarrassing if everyone at work thought he was a glutton. Don't worry, only I could pick that up. We've been co-workers for 3 years. I know what to look for. Sometimes. The way Elias said the words together made Oliver's chest tingle. There's something oddly suggestive about it. Well, I have to go now. See ya. Oliver picked up his bag and ran into the back room to change. He could hear Elias laughing softly behind him. I'll see you again very soon. I have the evening shift today too. If Oliver wasn't so naturally pale, his face would have turned beet red. Talking to Elias always made him feel flustered. It was like the man had been trying to get a reaction out of him, but he shouldn't have any reason to do that. And that's the end of the demo. Anyway, that was Hardships of a Vampire. Really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys do want to play this for yourselves, link to the game will be in the description below. I have a feeling that this game is probably going to be playing out as an otome. Like, in terms of a demo, I'd say like it handled like introducing the characters pretty well. But I would have liked it if they actually introduced like some sort of conflict towards the end of the demo so that we would have more of a reason to actually stay and actually see what happens in the full game. But either way, I am still gonna be excited to see like what the full game is gonna entail, because like heck, I've played some of Saitoki's previous games and they were pretty promising. They were pretty like fun and charming in their own ways. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of the day, and as always, I'll be seeing you in the next video. This is Lion, signing off. Ciao.